They welcomed me with a suitcase instead of a birthday cake. They told me to leave and never return. However, I possessed something they were unaware of: papers that would transform everything. But before I explain how I ended up here, from standing on the street with just a single suitcase to creating a life beyond their wildest dreams, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share in the comments where you are watching from. It helps me connect with those who are hearing my story. My name is Emily Johnson, and today I turned 24 years old. I am a graphic designer working independently. I tend to be quiet, rarely speaking up, often unnoticed. People sometimes forget I am even present in the room. I have felt invisible for most of my life yet. Inside, there was a silent strength I did not realize until the moment I truly needed it. Others never recognized it, as they never paid close enough attention. This morning was my birthday, specifically my 24th. I woke early, holding a small flicker of hope that this day might differ from the others. Birthdays are supposed to be meaningful. Maybe this time would feel special. Rising from my bed in my modest apartment located above the garage beside my parents' home, I dressed simply in jeans and a plain t-shirt. Walking from the garage apartment toward the main house, I caught the aroma of coffee. Perhaps Mom was making pancakes, as she used to when I was a child. Entering the kitchen through the back door, I saw my mother Karen Johnson and my father Dennis Johnson already seated at the kitchen table, dressed and ready for the day. There were no birthday decorations, no balloons, no small pile of gifts, and no pancakes. By the door lay a suitcase, my suitcase, packed tightly. Through a narrow gap, I could glimpse the fabric of my clothes. My parents looked at me, their expressions serious and unreadable, as if they were preparing for a business meeting rather than celebrating a birthday. A cold sensation spread through my chest, heavy and unsettling. "Happy birthday, Emily," my mother said with a flat tone, as if reading from a script. My father nodded silently. His eyes held no warmth. I stood just inside the doorway, frozen and confused, unable to make sense of the suitcase or the somber mood. "Come in, Emily," my father urged quietly. I stepped slowly to the table, pulled out a chair, and sat down. My hands became suddenly clammy. "We need to talk to you," my mother said. I waited, heart pounding. What could this be about? My father leaned forward slightly and began, "You are now 24 years old. You're an adult." I nodded, aware of it. "We believe it is time," he went on. "Time for you to be fully independent, to stand on your own feet," my mother added. "We have decided this is best for everyone, perhaps best for us," my father stated, gesturing toward the suitcase. "Your essential belongings are in there. We think you should move out today." Move out today? On my birthday? My thoughts scrambled to keep pace with the weight of his words. It felt like a sudden plunge, a fall from a great height. But where would I go, I wondered. My voice was barely audible. "That is for you to figure out," my mother said firmly. "You are capable. You can carve your own path. We have supported you for a long time," my father added. "But now it is time to sever the ties. Time for you to stand entirely on your own." "But I do stand on my own," I replied. It was true. I had been paying them rent for the garage apartment for years. I covered my own food, clothing, art supplies, and college loans. I worked tirelessly freelancing and earned my own income. They ignored everything I said, as if they did not hear me. "Emily," my mother said with a harsh tone again, we believe it is time you become completely independent. You are no longer part of this family unit in the same way. Not truly part of the family." What did that mean? Was I adopted? No, it was something else. It meant they were pushing me out, distancing me. "Take your suitcase," my father commanded. He rose, walked to the door, and picked up the suitcase. "It is time for you to leave, Emily," he said, holding it out to me. My suitcase, packed by them, felt like a cruel gesture. My eyes burned with tears. This cannot be happening, I thought. My parents ordering me to leave, to get out. And do not come back, my mother added. Those words felt like sharp knives stabbing deep inside. I stood up, my legs trembling like jelly. I approached my father, who placed the suitcase firmly in my hands. It was heavy, heavier than 100 pounds. With a heart heavy from rejection, I glanced at my mother and then at my father. Their expressions were fixed and unchanging. There was not a trace of sorrow in their eyes, no hesitation either, only a firm resolution. They wanted me gone. My voice failed me. My throat tightened. What could I possibly say? They had expressed everything they needed to. They made it clear that I was not wanted. I turned away and walked silently through the kitchen, across the house, and out the front door. I heard it click closed behind me. Outside on the sidewalk, clutching my suitcase, I was alone on my 24th birthday. The family that was supposed to be my refuge had just rejected me. Tears welled up quickly and poured down my face as I stood crying on the street with my belongings. The timing felt harsh and unjust. Why today? Yet inside, a quiet part of me understood this was not a sudden act. It was the conclusion of a long story, one written over many years where I was always second whenever I was noticed at all. Always less important. Forever the invisible child. That is how I felt for as long as I could remember. My younger brother Ethan was the center of attention. Ethan Johnson was the golden child, the favorite. He was 2 years younger than me, and from his very first breath, the world seemed to shift in his favor. Their entire focus was on Ethan. He had everything: the finest education in exclusive private schools starting from kindergarten, personal tutors whenever necessary, the best clothing, and the newest toys. I attended the local public school, which was decent but undeniably different. They told me they could not afford to send 2 kids to private school, but somehow they managed to provide everything for Ethan, exclusively for Ethan. Ethan wanted to be involved in sports, and my parents attended every practice and every game, cheering him on while purchasing the finest equipment. My interests were quite different. I enjoyed drawing and creating art. To attend art classes, I had to make sure I could get there on my own, often paying for my own special pens and papers. When they saw my drawings, they would simply nod and say, "That's nice, Emily." Then they asked Ethan about his soccer practice. Ethan received a brand new car for his 16th birthday, an impressive one paid for by my father. My first vehicle was bought by myself at 19 years old. It was old and constantly in need of repairs. I saved every penny from my part-time jobs. Ethan was considered smart, popular, and a natural leader. They talked endlessly about him during family dinners and on the phone with their friends. "Our Ethan is so talented. He is destined for great things," they would say. I earned good grades too and worked hard at school, but nobody discussed those accomplishments. My successes seemed insignificant compared to Ethan's shine. I won some minor art awards and showed them the certificates, but they only responded, "Oh, that's good, Emily," and quickly returned to discussing Ethan's test scores or his latest achievement. I constantly felt like a disappointment. No matter what I did, it was never enough. I was just the other child, the quiet daughter who pursued her own passions and was easily overlooked. It hurt deeply and made me feel small and worthless. When it was time for college, Ethan went to a prestigious university. The university was far away, and they covered everything. Tuition, room and board, and books were all paid for. Spending money was not something he had to worry about at all. They were extremely proud, saying our son is receiving the finest education and he will surely succeed. I attended a state college nearby and earned scholarships because my grades were excellent. However, that did not cover all the expenses, so I had to apply for student loans. I worked part-time jobs throughout my college years to afford rent in a shared apartment, buy my textbooks, and cover daily living costs. I studied graphic design, a subject I adored because it felt like the one thing truly mine, something I excelled at, but something they did not quite understand. After graduating, Ethan did not even need to search for a job. His father owns a large construction and development company, and a management position was already reserved for Ethan, carefully chosen well before he completed his degree. Ethan needs to understand the business well. Someday he will take over, his father would say. As for me, I was independent. I started freelancing in graphic design, building a small business from zero, client by client. I spent long nights working on my computer, creating logos, developing websites, and designing marketing materials. It was challenging, but I was making it work. They never considered it a real job. Mom would ask, "When will you get a proper job, Emily? One with benefits and a steady income?" "This is my job," I would explain. "I have clients, and I earn money." "But you work from home," my father would argue. "That's not serious. You need structure." Like Ethan, Emily lived in a small apartment above their garage and paid rent to Johnson's every single month without fail. They accepted the money without complaints, even though Ethan stayed in a large room inside the main house. His meals were covered by them, and they even gave him money for social outings. Meanwhile, every detail about Emily was criticized constantly. Her clothes were said to be too plain, her hair too simple, and she was considered too quiet. They expected her to be more outgoing, more like Ethan. No matter what she did, she felt like a constant disappointment, as if she was never enough. She was the quiet daughter who did her own thing and was easily ignored. It hurt deeply and made her feel insignificant and worthless. However, about a year ago, a major change happened when Emily discovered a long-kept secret. Her grandfather, Walter Johnson, her father's dad, who had died when she was a teenager, was a kind man who truly saw her. He admired her drawings and told her she was talented, making her feel special, even if only briefly. After he passed away, her father managed the estate. They were told there was a will and that the money and property were shared among the family. Her father received the business, the largest part, and some money was given to the others. That was all Emily knew until one day last year. She was helping her mother clean out a dusty storage closet filled with boxes, old papers, and forgotten items. Her mother suddenly took a phone call and left her alone to move a heavy box. It was then that Emily stumbled upon something that changed everything. From a tall shelf crowded with old files, a stack of papers slipped and scattered everywhere. I sighed and began gathering them up. Most were just old bills or letters, until I noticed a thick envelope marked with legal writing. It was the last will and testament of Walter Johnson. My heart pounded, because this was my grandfather's will. I knew my father had managed it, but maybe it was time for me to open it. I unfolded the heavy paper and started reading. It listed his assets and how they were to be distributed. Then I spotted my name, Emily Johnson. He had left me something specific, a trust fund. A large sum of money reserved solely for me, to support my education and future, helping me get started. The amount was significant, enough to change my life. The will clearly stated that the trust was meant for me, and that when I reached the age of 24, all the funds would be transferred directly into my control. My 24th birthday was today. I continued reading the documents in the envelope. There were letters from the bank and a lawyer addressed to Dennis Johnson, my father, dated just after my grandfather's death. These letters confirmed the existence of the trust, explaining its terms, and stating that my father was the trustee until I turned 24. My parents knew all about it. They knew this money was for me. They knew I was supposed to receive it today, yet they never told me. My blood ran cold realizing they had hidden this from me for years, allowed me to struggle, pay my own way, take out loans, and exhaust myself, while this money just sat there untouched. Money meant to assist me, but why was it taken away? Why would they do such a thing? It became obvious now. The preference shown towards Ethan and the lack of any backing for me. They did not want me to receive this money. They aimed to maintain control, perhaps to use the funds for themselves, or maybe simply to prevent me from gaining independence. Not genuinely, especially not with substantial resources. An intense, cold rage started to replace the pain. They did not merely overlook me. They intentionally caused harm. They stole from me not only the money accumulated over many years, but also the understanding of my grandfather's bequest, the knowledge that he had intended this for me. I heard my mother's steps approaching, so I hurriedly stuffed all the documents back into the envelope. I placed the envelope inside the box and covered it with other papers. For the next several days, nothing else could occupy my mind. I returned to their house while they were away and found the box once more. I took the will and the bank letters, reading them repeatedly. The truth was clear. I realized I could not confront them directly. They would deny, distort the facts, and blame me. Real evidence was necessary, undeniable proof they could not refuse. I traveled to a copy center far from their area and made copies of everything, the will, the letters, every single page. Then I located a notary public. I presented her with the copies and explained the need for certification. She reviewed them carefully, stamped and signed each document. They became official legal copies, tangible proof that I had seen the original documents and knew the truth. Afterward, I returned the originals to the box where they belonged. I kept the notarized copies safe in a hidden closet, unsure of what I would do with them. I only knew that I possessed something they believed was lost forever, my secret. Now, on my birthday, I was standing on the street with a suitcase after they had just thrown me out following years of withholding my inheritance. They assumed I was helpless, unaware, and easy to discard. The tears dried on my cheeks as the cold anger transformed into determination. They believed they had won and gotten rid of me, but they completely forgot about Walters. I took my phone out and found the address of the main branch of the bank managing my grandfather's trust. It was located downtown, close enough to walk. Taking a deep breath, I straightened my back, grabbed my suitcase, and headed not to my small garage apartment, but to the bank. The building was grand and constructed with stone, giving it an aura of solidity and importance. Inside, the air was cool and silent as people went about their banking. It felt strange to be here on this mission. Approaching the front desk, my hands trembled slightly, but my voice remained steady. "I need to speak to someone about a trust fund," I said. The woman behind the desk asked for my name. "Emily Johnson," I replied. She typed my name into the computer, her eyes widening a bit as she scanned the screen. Yes, Miss Johnson. We have a note here. Please take a seat. The trust manager will see you shortly." They said they would be with me soon as they expected my arrival, or more precisely, they were aware that the trust was set to mature today. My father must have completely ignored their attempts to contact him. I took a seat in the lobby, clutching my purse tightly. Inside were the notarized copies, my proof, my passport to freedom. After a few minutes, a woman in a sharp suit emerged with a warm smile. "Ms. Johnson, I am Sarah Jenkins, the trust manager," she introduced herself. I stood up and shook her hand. Her grip was steady and comforting. She escorted me to a private office where we took our seats. Her desk was spacious and immaculate. "Ms. Johnson," she began, "we noticed today is your 24th birthday. We have been trying to reach Mr. Dennis Johnson, the trustee listed to finalize the transfer of your grandfather's trust. Your father has blocked all communications," I explained with a clear voice. "He hasn't reached out to me either, still attempting to hold on to it." "Yes, we gathered that," she replied. gazing at me with compassionate eyes. "Do you have any documents related to the trust?" I reached into my bag and pulled out the stack of notarized certificates, handing them over to her. Among them were my grandfather's will and official letters from the bank confirming the trust. She examined the papers carefully, cross-referencing them with information on her computer. "These appear valid," she said. "The trust was created by your grandfather, Walter Johnson, and is scheduled to transfer to you on your 24th birthday. As of today, it belongs entirely to you." Having full control over the finances was undeniable. The money was genuinely there and unquestionably mine. It was my grandfather's legacy waiting for me. Miss Jenkins explained everything thoroughly: the total amount in the trust, how to gain access, and the ways to manage it. It was a considerable sum, far more than I had ever imagined. Knowing that this money could genuinely transform my life filled me with hope. She assisted me in establishing an account connected to the trust so I could access the funds directly. We signed the documents and reviewed every detail carefully. It took quite some time, and my mind was spinning. It felt as if I were in the middle of a film. When I finally exited the bank, the sun was already higher in the sky. I still carried my suitcase beside me, but now, in my hands, I held a thick folder full of important bank papers. Most importantly, within me grew a new sensation, one of strength and empowerment. Though they had attempted to deprive me of everything, they failed. My grandfather's love revealed through this trust had saved me. I never returned to my parents' house again. The small garage apartment had become a cage from which I had long wished to escape. With the money I received, the very first thing I did was find a new place to live. A genuine apartment in a pleasant building. It was filled with natural sunlight and offered enough room for work and simply to exist freely. It felt like a fresh beginning. After settling in, I poured my energy into my graphic design career. I had been freelancing for years, steadily building a client base. Now, with capital available to me, I was able to invest in expanding my business. I purchased superior equipment and arranged a dedicated workspace right within my apartment. This allowed me to eventually hire assistants and take on more significant projects. I decided to give my business a proper title: Emily Johnson Creative Group. It sounded professional and felt powerful. It felt like a true reflection of who I was. I thought about my grandfather Walter, who had given me this opportunity and freedom. I wanted to pay tribute to him, so I had a simple plaque crafted and placed it on the wall by the entrance to my office. The plaque read, "Emily Johnson Creative Group, dedicated to Walter." Months passed as I worked diligently. My business began to flourish, and I took on thrilling projects. I built a strong reputation. People started seeking me out for my work. I was no longer invisible. I was Emily Johnson, the graphic designer and thriving entrepreneur. My confidence grew steadily, and the pain from my birthday gradually diminished. Although it remained part of my history, it no longer defined me. That difficult moment became a turning point when they rejected me, but I found the courage to pursue something better. During this period, I had no communication with my parents. I did not call them, and they did not reach out to me. Then one evening, my phone rang displaying my mother's number, Karen Johnson. I hesitated, torn between answering to discover their intentions and ignoring it forever. Curiosity won, and I swiped to answer. "Hello," I said cautiously. "Emily, is that truly you?" My mother's voice was different, no longer cold but sounding anxious. I replied, "Yes, Mom, it's me." "Oh, Emily, thank goodness," she said shakily. "We need to talk to you. It is very important." "About what?" I asked, keeping my tone calm and neutral. "Emily," she said naturally, "always about Ethan." "Ethan. What about Ethan?" I asked once more. My father's voice came through the line. He sounded exhausted and tense. "Emily, Ethan. His startup collapsed. I knew Ethan had been focused on launching a tech firm. My father spoke about it for several months, how it was going to be revolutionary, how he had poured significant funds into it. It failed utterly. My father revealed he lost everything, and all the money we had invested too. My mother's voice was trembling. All our savings. Emily, the money meant for our retirement, it is completely wiped out. My father went on desperation. Evident in his voice, the company is struggling as well. Ethan's failure triggered other issues. We are experiencing severe financial troubles. Emily, then silence followed. I simply listened. Emily. My father added his tone gentler now, imploring we were hopeful. We were hoping you could assist us. Assist them after they expelled me, after they attempted to steal my inheritance. They assumed I was insignificant. They believed I had nothing. They pictured me barely getting by, maybe surviving paycheck to paycheck. Or even worse, they thought they had broken me, but I was not broken. I was succeeding because of the very thing they tried to conceal. They depended on me, the overlooked daughter, the one they rejected. Their favored son had failed, and now they required me to save them. I did not shout. I did not scream. The sharp sting of anger no longer there. It was replaced by a calm understanding. Emily, are you there? My mother? Her voice trembled with panic as she asked, I'm here. I replied, Please, Emily. My father begged, Can you help us? I reflected on that birthday morning, the suitcase, the icy words. You are no longer part of this family. Do not come back. I also recalled all the years filled with feelings of inferiority, being ignored, and the stolen inheritance. Now I held the power. They needed me. Their future, or at least the near future, rested in my hands. Yet revenge was not my true goal. I sought justice. I wanted them to realize what they had done and what they had lost. I cannot lend you money, I said, my voice soft yet unwavering. My mother gasped, saying, But Emily, we are your parents. We are going to lose everything. You made your choice long ago, I answered. And once again on my birthday, you told me I was not family. You took what belonged to me and left me with nothing. That is the difference. My father's voice escalated. Was that how it is? I asked, feeling sure it was. I knew I had to end the call. There was nothing more to discuss. They would not grasp it through words. I must go now, I said. Wait, Emily, please do not hang up, my mother pleaded. Gently, I pressed the end call button. Standing in my quiet apartment, the phone felt heavy in my hand. I did not feel joy over their difficulties, but I was calm and determined. I walked to my office corner, took up my phone, and started the camera. I snapped a picture of the small plaque on the wall, the one that read, Emily Johnson Creative Group, dedicated to Walter. When I opened my messages, I discovered one from my father. Along with it, I found a photo attached. I wrote a brief, straightforward message that was honest and clear. I was never the person who depended on this family. They needed me, not the other way around. Now that I have everything they attempted to take away, I hit send. I stared at the image on my screen, my office, my name honoring my grandfather. It was proof, evidence of what I had created, proof of the life I had built. Walking into the bank with this proof of ownership, I found the means to construct a life they could no longer interfere with, a life that they now wished to be involved in. Turning away from my phone, I glanced around my office. It was filled with my work, my designs, my imagination. This was my world, my future shaped by my own hands with the guidance of my grandfather. I smoothed the front of my plain t-shirt, took a deep breath, and felt strong and capable. I felt that I belonged to myself. Moving toward the door of my office, I knew there was work ahead. Clients awaited, projects demanded completion, and a business to manage. I was Emily Johnson, finally recognized and standing firmly on my own. Not because anyone had supported me, but because I had found the courage to move forward. Placing my hand on the handle, I opened the door and stepped inside, prepared for whatever came next. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe in claiming what is rightfully yours, no matter who tries to take it away.